YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. This is Yo Hoops, and we're back with another episode of Fading the Public. This is episode 2, where I'm going to go over every NBA game on today's slate. And I'll also start the video with a recap of yesterday's plays. We absolutely killed it. We're on the right track starting the new year. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So we'll start with the recap of yesterday. Fantastic day. Thank you for anyone that tuned in. I know it's my first video, so I wouldn't expect too much, but we had 3 plays highlighted in yesterday's video. The first play was the Washington Wizards plus 5.5 and money line. That call was out of left field. We took a chance with it, and hey, the Wizards cashed. They absolutely blew out the Bulls. It was good to see. I mean, we're not going to, be jumping on the Wizards train anytime soon, but it was good to cash and good to see the Wizards kind of turning it around and at least getting, because they've been playing good. So to see them actually get the dub was cool to see. Our second play was the Miami Heat minus 8.5 points. They covered against the Pelicans. Pelicans haven't looked good. It looked like 2 teams heading in different directions. Tyler Hero emerging as the leader on that Miami Heat team. So that was also really cool to see. And our third play was the Atlanta Hawks plus the 5.5/ money line against the Denver Nuggets. We knew it was a tough spot with Denver being at home. I just felt like they hadn't looked like themselves, and the line was suggestive to me, but it was obviously a sharp chaser spot. So, hey, we went 2-1. On our first 3 plays of the year, so looking good. Overall, we went 6-2-1 on the total plays. So thank you guys for tuning in, and let's get into today's video. First up, we have the Boston Celtics in Minnesota taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Boston's laying 4.5 points, and Boston, obviously, they're the most dominant team in the league. But I feel like in certain spots they let down. And I think a lot of people are going to be on Boston coming into the new year here. The Timberwolves are a younger team. I think they're a little more hungry. I would certainly look the Timberwolves way. Boston, they have an 0-1 record as underdogs on the road. So they've only been underdogs once all season on the road, and they lost. It was to the Cleveland Cavs, 115-111. So a close game. And I remember that game going to Cleveland. I didn't really realize that Cleveland was the favorite, but I think the Timberwolves have more to prove coming into the start of the year. I think Ant has a really big night, and I'll highlight this play: the Timberwolves plus the 4.5 and the money line for plus 150. This will be our first highlighted play of January 2nd of the new year. Next up, we have the Indiana Pacers in Miami taking on the Miami Heat. The Heat are laying 1.5 points here. This is a tough one for me. It's a pick 'em game. I like how Miami's been playing recently, but I also like how Indiana's been playing recently. This one's tough for me. Instead of a side, I would look here at the total. It's even down to 224.5 now. It was at 225.5. It's starting to move down, and that's good for my betting purposes because I'm looking at the over. The last 5 meetings between Indiana and Miami have gone over even the 226 number. So, and it looks like a majority of people are on the over. So it's a little concerning that it's moving down because it doesn't necessarily look like the money is pushing it down. So it makes me a little bit nervous, but considering the last 5 I went over, Indiana is a historically offensive team, and Miami has stepped up their offense recently. They're easily clearing that 110 mark. Miami is. So knowing what the Pacers can do, I would lean towards the Pacers, but I really like this over 224.5, and I'll lock that in as my second highlighted play of today. Moving forward. Next up, we have the Brooklyn Nets in Milwaukee taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are laying 14 points here. This is a big number. Milwaukee has been playing good recently, but I don't feel comfortable laying 14 points with them. At home, as home favorites this season, Milwaukee is 5-8-1 against the spread. So you've been losing money. It hasn't been a good spot. And then when I look at Brooklyn, they're 11-6-1 on the season as road dogs. So this is kind of the spot where Milwaukee's been letting us down, the spot where Brooklyn's been showing up. This might be time for a little bit of reversion to the mean, especially considering how the Knicks handled the Jazz yesterday. That was kind of a situation where they just got the job done. Sometimes these big lines get covered, but regardless, I would have to take the plus 14 with the Brooklyn Nets. I can't see a way around laying that much points with Milwaukee, who's a losing team, as favorites at home. Moving forward. Next up, we have the LA Clippers in Oklahoma City taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder are laying 9.5 points here. This is right on the edge because normally I would expect Oklahoma City to be like a 10.5 point, 11 point favorite. So the fact that they're moving it within single digits a tiny bit concerning to me, but I can't really look in the Clippers' direction. I mean, they just got blown out by the Spurs. I know Wemby balled out, but I mean, if you get blown out by the Spurs, come on. This is a revenge game for Shai, obviously, back in OKC. I mean, he always hoops there, and OKC is known to take care of business. Their last game, I believe they won by 4 points, so they didn't cover this line. But in general, Shai owns the Clippers, and OKC, let's see here, as home favorites. They're 9-5-1 as home favorites, so they've shown to be trustworthy, of course, over the last few seasons. The 9.5, a little bit concerning of a number to me, but I'll definitely take the 9.5 with the Thunder before looking in the Clippers' direction. Moving forward. Next up, we have the Philadelphia 76ers coming into Golden State, taking on the Golden State Warriors. The Sixers are 3-point dogs, Warriors laying 3 points here. This line has grown, actually. It opened up as Warriors -1.5, and it's been moving. Even in the last hour, it's moved to 3 points. And that makes sense because I was already looking at the Warriors, so I can see why it's moving. Rather than take the side because I don't want to lose the value on the money line was -120 here, so I don't want to be laying 3.5 points with the Warriors here, even though I think that is the right play. I'll have to look at the over here. So it's moving down. It's at 216.5 now, and I would definitely take a look at that over. The last 4 meetings between the Warriors and the Sixers went over 218.5. So I think you have a little room here, and both teams have offensive firepower. They have weapons. Tyrese Maxey, Paul George. Steph Curry is questionable with, I believe it's a thumb sprain. Let me just take a look real quick at the Warriors injury report. Yeah, right thumb sprain. So Curry might not go, but I still like the Warriors offense without him. Some of the young players, Kuminga, Pozemski, they're balling out. So I'll absolutely look at the over 216.5 with the Sixers and Warriors. Moving forward. Our last game of the slate, we have the Portland Trailblazers in LA taking on the LA Lakers. I went back and forth between this game because automatically I thought 9 points. Let me grab it with the Blazers. Lakers are always overrated, especially going into the new year. I think everyone just kind of gassed up on the big city, big market teams. But when I look deeper, the Lakers have been playing well, and when I look at the Blazers' last 10, last 15 games, when they lose, they really get blown out. It's not common that the Blazers are going to lose a 6-point game. Once they start sliding to double digits, once they get to down 10, they don't come back down 4. They're down 19 in a couple minutes. So that being said, it's really more on the fence for me, but I would lay the 9 points with the Lakers before taking the 9 points with the Blazers. So that'll be my play for this game. The Lakers laying 9 points. That's going to conclude today's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Yesterday, we absolutely killed it on the games. I'm having a good feeling about today. We have two signature highlighted plays here. The first one is going to be the Timberwolves plus the 4.5 points and the money line. When I say plus the points and the money line, I split my bet a half unit between each, so it balances out there. So I'll take the Wolves plus the 4.5 and the money line at plus 150. And then the second signature play will be the over in the Pacers and Miami Heat game, over 225. And you can get that, well, it's even lower now. So you could get it at 224 for minus 110. Those will be our two signature plays, the Timberwolves plus 4.5 money line and the Indiana Pacers and Miami Heat over. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.